Good? Yeah, we are good. Welcome to the State of the City Festival, everyone. Didn't we get a beautiful weather day? It was a little touch and go there for a minute this morning when we were checking the forecast, but it looks like it's going to be a beautiful evening for us to be out here together, learning about the state of the city, but most importantly, just enjoying our city together. So thank you for being here. I want to thank some of our sponsors who have made this event possible. And these next few sponsors I'm going to mention have been with me from the get-go as we've launched these different events. This is my sixth State of the City event. And these sponsors, our local community banks, have made it possible every single year. First United Bank, First Capital Bank, Amarillo National Bank, Interstate Bank, and First Bank Southwest. So would y'all give them a huge round of applause, because their financial support means that we can have a nice event like this. And of course, they are supporting us every day in our community through supporting our businesses and our families through the banking business. We're moving next to, on the program, we're going to have an opening prayer, and then we're going to do the presentation of colors and the national anthem. Here to do our prayer tonight is my friend Melody Graves. Melody, you ready? We got a lot to be thankful for, Melody,
Yes, we do.
especially the weather today.
Yes. Thank God for that. Good afternoon, everybody. Will you pray with me? Dear Lord, our Heavenly Father, as we come here before you today, Lord, we ask that you continue to bless this, Lord. Lord, we ask that you take away the division, Father, and heal our city, Father, our country, Father, and our nation, Father. Father, as we come to pay tribute to those who have lost their lives and to celebrate those who continue to thrive in our communities, Lord, we ask that you allow us to come together, Lord, and make a unified sound unto you, Lord, that we might be able to stand together and move mountains. Let us remember that if we stand hand in hand with each other, that things can change. If we advocate together and if we fight together, we will be the ones who will be victorious in the end together. Lord, I ask that you rain down on everyone in this park today, Lord. Lord, but I ask that you go further and you rain down on our city today, Lord. Lord, as things seem to be getting out of hand, Lord, you know, Lord, what we need to do, Lord, and what will be done, Lord. Lord, I ask that your truth rain down. I ask that you continue to bless our leadership, Lord, as they go forward, Lord, doing things that you have called them to do, Lord. Lord, give their hearts to know, Lord, that if you called them, Lord, that you qualified them a long time ago, Lord, and allow them to keep on pushing, Lord. Push until the end, until the victory is theirs, Lord. Lord, this is our prayer for our city, our communities, Father, and most importantly today for our neighbors, Father. Father, can we get back to a time when we care about each other, Father, when you help each other, Father, instead of tearing each other down? God is saying if you remove that division right now, I will bless the city of Amarillo in ways that you have never seen before. All we have to do is continue to fight. Can fight for what we know is right and continue to love each other above all things. For no matter what religion you are, no matter what higher power you praise, there is someone out there that is higher than us that is advocating for us to win this victory. So let's go together. In God's name, let's go together on into victory. And as we say, amen and amen.
Amen. Thank you, Melody. We've started with the priority of opening this with a prayer. And next, I want to introduce the ROTC unit from Tascosa High School as we honor those who serve our country. And then we will also have a moment of silence in remembrance and recognition that tomorrow is 9/11. And so we will have Tennessee Tuckness, who's going to sing our national anthem. And then we will also have a playing of taps. Because we do live in a great city, located in a great state, located in a blessed and great nation. And that's been made possible by many people who have sacrificed for the freedoms that we have. And we want to honor them and give honor to our nation today. So would you please stand as our colors are presented by the ROTC unit from Tascosa High School.
Ready, colors, ready, cut, forward, march. Ready, face. Color guard, hold. Present, colors. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And now, would you pause with us for a moment of silence to honor those lost and those who served in 9/11? Would you join me in a round of applause, please, especially for Tascosa High School's ROTC unit? All right. I love that music, Tennessee. Doing a great job for us. We're going to move. I'm spinning around, Chief. Okay, thank you. We're going to move, and as we do live music tonight, and when Tennessee and her band take a break, then we're going to just talk a little bit about some of the things that have happened in the city for the last year, and some of the things that we have coming forward, things we're looking forward to, challenges that we've got to work on together. And I'm going to have some special guests up on the stage, some city staff doing important work for you. But before we get into our two guests that are here with me now, I just want to thank our sponsors again. First United Bank, First Capital Bank, Amarillo National Bank, Interstate Bank, and First Bank Southwest. They really are making this happen tonight, and I'm really grateful for it. Yes, let's give them a round of applause. And I also want to thank some people who've worked really hard, and that's our Parks and Rec department and our communications staff to put this event together. Kristen Wolbach, Becky Dreyer, Kelsey Sargent, all of the Parks and Rec team who've done so much on setup today. And then in communications, Chase Brady, Jordan Shupak, Joy Stewart, Monica Silva, they have done a tremendous amount of work to get this event ready for us. And I also want to make you aware that Blank Spaces is here today, and they have set up a live mural. So we are painting the bathroom in this park to commemorate having our State of the City Festival here, and they're looking for volunteers. So if you have not gone by and seen how that mural painting is progressing, go by, pick up a paintbrush, and you can know that you were part of creating art, public art, in our park space tonight. And then I also want to point out that we have an innovation team. You're going to hear more about that in a little while. But they are doing a survey back here at the booth, trying to see where their tent is. Right beside the library, they have a black tent. And our innovation team is set up there. And they want to know what you know about illegal dumping in the city. And so if you can walk by there and use your phone to take a quick survey, that will help us as we're tackling that problem and looking for how to do that better in the coming year. But we have over 40 booths here tonight with nonprofits and city departments set up so that you can learn and ask questions about lots of different things in the city. So while you're getting food at a food truck or playing games with your kids, we want you to have a place to get more information about what's going on in our city. And I want to remind you also that at 8 o'clock, we have a family movie, Encanto, starting. So you can look forward to that as well. Okay. I have two really important guests up here on the stage with me. It's not very often that you sit between someone that you would say chief and chief, but these two guys are definitely in charge of a very important service that the city gives to our citizens. On my right is Chief of Amarillo Police Department, Martin Birkenfellow. Martin, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Mayor.
And on my left is Chief Jason Mays. He's the chief of our fire department. And I want to start off, first of all, gentlemen, thanking you for your many years of service to citizens in our community. And I want to tell you that often people stop me and they say, I had this situation, and sometimes it's an emergency or a car wreck or a medical emergency or a fire, but a lot of times it was just a situation. And they talk about how kind and how courteous our officers, our firefighters were in that situation. And so I just want to say to you, for you to say back to the men and women that serve in our departments, how much we appreciate the service that they bring us. And it's 24/7. You guys don't have 8 to 5 jobs in your departments. So thank you.
Thank you. It's a privilege.
Yeah, well, you do it well, and our citizens appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Chief Birkenfellow, let's just start talking for a minute about the things that are going well in your department. How would you answer that question?
Well, I think the main thing that's going well is a legacy of officers, men and women who are dedicated to their jobs. Their hearts are really good. It's a privilege, like I said, for me to be able to lead such a fine department. And so personnel-wise, morale's good. We have officers who really want to be there, and man, I just can't thank them enough.
In our upcoming budget, the one we just approved, it has funding to hire 4 new police officers. So we'll have 4 additional officers that we didn't have funding for in this last year. How are you on staffing? I mean, that's sort of a challenge nationwide right now.
It is. We're still getting a number of applicants. In fact, we've got recruiters here tonight, but I think that's the biggest challenge is getting enough applicants to keep our positions full. You know, we've been given those positions, and that's very helpful to us. And our hope is to be able to have no more than about 2 to 3% of our openings at any given time. So right now we have about 17 openings right now for police officers, and we're hiring for those actively. So we start an academy every 6 months. And so we can't just hire one person at a time, so we hire in groups. So for example, our next academy will start in December, and that's where we'll hope to fill those 17 plus 4, so 21 positions at least coming up for December.
Excellent. How would you answer this question? What are some of the struggles that you see over the last year and in the coming year as far as crime in the city of Amarillo?
Our biggest challenge right now is gun crime. It's pretty clear, and you probably see it in the news. We've had a number of shootings over the last couple of years, and it's really upsetting to me that it involves so many young people. Over 60% of the shootings that occur in Amarillo involve people under the age of 30, and a great number of those are kids under the age of 18. I say a great number, an alarming number of those.
So what is the city doing about that?
Well, internally at the police department, we're working on building our data collection capacity. So we're developing a real-time crime center where we can have one place where we can gather real-time video, license plate information, those things that can help us catch those shooters much faster. And we've seen some successes already, especially with our license plate reader technology, catching stolen cars, for example. Just yesterday morning, I rolled up on some officers who had just caught a stolen car that came off of a license plate reader. So the technology is proving to work, but we can do better, and so that's where we're kind of focusing our energy as far as technology. We also have officers, our shooting response team that's dedicated 24/7. If there's a shooting that occurs, they go out and they start working on the case right away. And that gives us a much higher rate of clearance, which means we're figuring out who's doing these shootings. And I wish it was higher, but it's about half the time that we're able to solve these, about 50% of them. The other 50% are generally cases where we have people that don't want to talk about it, or maybe they didn't see who did it or something like that. But nonetheless, we're dedicated to working all of those cases.
Well, I want to commend you on your leadership because I know that in order to make the changes that need to happen to address the crime as it's developing in the city, it takes a lot of investment. And sometimes those are budgetary investments, and we have made some investments, like in the Real-Time Crime Center and some of the tools that you need in order to track and address crime. But just having an open mind toward, like this summer we had an intern from Harvard. We had a Harvard student come and live in Amarillo for the summer just to research our crime statistics, specifically our gun crime in Amarillo, and just summarize what we learned from that research.
That was a very useful experience. We learned some hard data, specifically the numbers I've talked about, like 60% of our shootings, 30 and younger that are doing them. He also identified basically 4 different areas that we need to work on. You know, gathering more gang intelligence because gang violence involves a certain portion of those. Resources for youth, trying to identify not just police department activities, but citywide activities where we can intervene with our youth to keep them becoming involved in gangs, keep them becoming involved in gun crimes. And it's really helpful to have an outsider come in and look at that. It's a little bit nervous, you know, at first you think, well, what's this person going to find that we're not seeing? But in the end, it turned out to be very good because there were some things that we already knew that we could confirm with data, and other things that we really hadn't thought about.
As I looked at that information, I thought there are many citizens in the city who want to get involved in making our city a safer place. And I became aware that they can't always get in a car, strap on a gun, and go out. That wouldn't be helpful, right?
No.
But what they can do are support services in our city that are coming around youth that are in crisis, youth who might have an unstable family situation. those kids are the ones that our statistics show are committing those gun crimes in our city, and they're really young men under the age of 30, and who this is not their first time, in a crime situation. They have a record.
Yes.
They're troubled youth. So I would speak to you guys, and I would plead to our community that if you want to help our city be a safer place, look for ways to support programs that would wrap around and support kids who are in crisis. Can we keep them from getting to that point where they're one of our gun crime statistics? You guys are doing the work of fighting crime, but we as Amarillo citizens want to come along beside you and help you by supporting those programs that actually decrease the work that you and your officers have to do.
Absolutely. That, it sounds so cliche to say it, but it does take a village. It takes all of our involvement in finding ways to support the programs or to take on mentorship ourselves to help keep young people out of trouble.
Chief, thank you for the work that you and your officers are doing.
I appreciate it, Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah. Chief Mays,
Yes, ma'am.
how would you answer that question about what's going well in your department?
Well, we've got a lot going on. I think the thing we're most proud of right now is the first Fire Academy in 30 years. We were able to hire 24 cadets off the street and train them to get them on our trucks. We're sitting around 11 short right now because they are in this Fire Academy. And so we just try to project what shortages we think that we'll have with retirements and that. And we try to hire, and we've had to jump through all the hurdles that the state requires to make sure that we can do that, just so we can put more firefighters in this area. Amarillo College is doing everything that they can to produce certifiable candidates in the state, and I think we're just seeing the same shortage that everybody's seeing in the Panhandle, in the state, probably in the country for first responders. And so we're just trying to do our thing to get back to something that we used to do, mirror what APD does by recruiting, hiring, and certifying our first responders. So.
Well, it's a lot of work that's gone into that project, and I appreciate the leadership, the vision behind it, so that we can better recruit and more quickly fill those empty positions. So citizens appreciate that very much. In the budget that we just passed, we have funding for 15 new firefighter positions and funding for a new fire station out by the hospital district. Tell us why is that necessary?
Well, as our city grows, this new fire station, once we get it built, will actually cover one of our hot spots for areas that we have with responses over 4 minutes. And so putting a fire station there, and as obviously the personnel that will go to staff the trucks that respond from that, just help us provide that same standard of care that you can expect and appreciate anywhere within our city limits. So we're very appreciative of the support that we've had for the 15 firefighters once we start our new academy, which, by the way, anybody here, we're testing. October 1st will be our second placement test to hire you if you're off the street and you want to be a firefighter and want that career. Come look us up, get online, find us on social media. We'll have information there. And so to be able to have that helps our response times. That helps with things that you don't even think about, like the ISO numbers, to keep our insurance rates affordable as much as that can be done these days. So we're super excited about building that new station and finding another way to make that part of the hospital district and make a home and provide good service there.
And I appreciate the leadership that it takes to recognize that our city is growing, and you can't just snap your fingers and have those fire stations. They're expensive to build. You have to hire new firefighters to staff them. So you have to have a vision for the needs that are coming down the pike,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
be ready for them, not be flat-footed, but be reaching out for them and the growth that you know is coming. So speaking of growth, I thought I saw 2 Mays kids. Are your kids out here, Chief?
They're right over there.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's
I see
Bailey
'em
and
right there.
Jackson. Bailey's very outgoing, not shy at all. So if y'all want to wave to Bailey and Jackson, he may be running for mayor one of these days. I'm not real sure.
Bring it on, Jackson. I think you do a great job, kid. Well, as we kind of wrap up our time here, talk just a little bit about some of the challenges. I mean, we talked about staffing challenges, and that's true both departments. That's true in a lot of the city departments. It's true in businesses all across the city. It's hard to find the people to work the jobs that we have. What other challenges are you seeing in the fire department right now?
I think for us, it's just as we see the growth is great, but growth can be expensive. And when we start seeing some of the areas, you pick a compass heading on anywhere in our city, and there's growth in that area. So some of it's just making sure that we communicate our needs to city management, who communicates that need to you and to our citizens, and that we know that's a huge demand. It's a huge demand on trying to get the people and the personnel. Anytime you add stations, you add people, that's an added cost that is on top of what we're already expecting operating. So some of the challenges that we see, we also share with APD, and as we see communities like Uvalde and some of the disasters, some of the situations that have hit, and it just makes me thankful for the relationship that we have with our police department. Some of that combined training that we've done for years, every 2 years at least, we do a massive drill with APD, AFD, and we hope that we will never have to face one of those types of days, but if we do, we would never want to be tested in that area, but we're set up for success to make that as seamless as possible if that worst day were ever to arrive.
Yeah, we have one of those drills coming up in the next couple of weeks, actually, multi-jurisdictions coordinating, if something were to be happening in the city. So I just want to reassure citizens that, no, we don't like to talk about that. We don't like to plan for those things. But at the same time, leadership in the city is coordinating and planning. And also when you said that about training, I think a lot of people, a lot of citizens, they know what firefighters do because it says in the name, they fight fires. But the truth is, when you speak with what the fire department actually does, a lot of it is medic training, medic response. Talk just a little bit about the different type of training and how impressive our department is as far as the quality and the depth of the training that we have.
Okay, our main goal right now, we're all trained to the basic level. So in EMTB, if you've ever heard that, we can do little above basic first aid, and we're basically there to jump in, help augment any of that patient care before the ambulance arrives. As far as this teamwork that we have with AMS, our local provider and transport agency, I want to have as many paramedic engines, fire engines. When we show up, we've got at least 2 firefighters that are trained to the paramedic level on every fire truck. And right now we've got 3 of those. My goal is to have 1 more once we are able to train and certify a few more classes of paramedics, because that is a staffing demand, and I don't want to put my chiefs in a hardship there. But our biggest challenge and our biggest goal right now in the EMS capacity is raising our standard of care towards advanced life support for all of our areas. Every time we put one of those out, we make a difference. Every time we put another paramedic engine out and train them to the paramedic level, we get story after story of the ways that they step in and knock it out of the park. We've had all kinds of success stories, so very proud of those folks, just like I'm proud of our training and all that they're doing with the Fire Academy. And I just can't say enough about that. But that is our goal, is to, if I could have everybody be trained to the paramedic level, I would. And that's something we try to chip away and budget each and every year to support.
Well, we appreciate all of the work that goes into the training, but most importantly into the hours that are served. I'll give Tennessee a little bit of notice that we're wrapping up here. Part of what I want for people to see on the stage as we're interviewing leaders on our city staff is that these men and women are serving you. They're serving us. They're serving our families, and they are great servants. But they're also just people. They're moms, they're dads. Chief Mays has his family out here with him today. But I just wanted to ask you a basic human question. So the guys are nervous right now because we didn't talk about this. So they're like, oh my gosh, what's she going to ask me? It's a really hard question, Chief. I'm going to start with you. So Jason, you got a couple of minutes to think about it. Cake or pie?
Pie.
Pie.
Yes.
Okay. Chief of Police is a pie guy.
Well,
right,
I'm going to
Chief
have to
Mace.
obviously say cake since he said pie.
Okay, well, that's a nice
he
balance.
took my answer.
Then.
But
Okay, I love it. Gentlemen, thank you for what you do serving
Thank
in the
you, Mayor.
city of Amarillo. We appreciate
Thank you,
you.
Mayor.
And I appreciate that you would give some time on a Saturday to come
Sure.
talk with citizens.
Thank you all for your support.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank you.
y'all.
We appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Tennessee. Thank you, band. We are so enjoying this weather, enjoying the music. Out on the stage with us right now is a very special guest from our Animal Management and Welfare Department. This is Scout, and Scout is available for adoption. He's a little nervous right now. It's all right, Scout.
He's so
Hello.
sweet.
He's so sweet, though. and he's looking for a new family. He's hoping that the state of the city might take him to a new home tonight. So he's going to be on the stage with us for a little while. But while we're getting settled in here, I want to remind you that you can still be a part of painting the mural over at this section of the park where Blank Spaces is painting a mural right now on the restroom wall. There are all kinds of booths out here for information about our city and nonprofits in our city. I want to say thank you to every volunteer who's working a booth. Thank you to all of our city staff who gave up time on a Saturday to come out and man the booths so that people could ask questions and learn more about our city. As we're doing the program here tonight, you may have more questions, or you may think, I was really impressed with that city staff member, or I would like more information about what that department is doing. There will be a State of the City website, and so you can even just search SOTC Amarillo, State of the City, SOTCAmarillo.com. And at that website, we'll have videos from different staff members talking about some of the topics that you'll hear tonight, but also talking about other topics. So if you want more research, or somebody wasn't able to come tonight and you want to direct them to learning about the city, that resource will be there going off into the future so that you can keep learning about the city and keep learning, encouraging your friends and your neighbors to learn about the city. And I wanted to say thank you especially to Nate File, who is the videographer that did a lot of work on putting the video content together for the website. So please go look at those videos. A lot of great information there, and Nate did a great job helping us with that. I want to remind you, too, that we're doing a movie tonight at 8 o'clock for anyone who wants to stay and watch. Beautiful weather. I hope you brought a jacket. Because this little cold front is just giving us a nice night in the park. Yeah. This morning, we were 50-50 on go, no go. And I'm so glad we said go, because this has turned out to be a perfect day to have an event in the park. On the stage with me right now are three very important people that do great work in our city. This is Laura Storrs, our assistant city manager, and also has so many years of experience in the finance department for the city. So we're going to talk to her about finances. And next to her is Mitch Norman, who is our Director of Human Resources. And next to Mitch is Rich Guyon, who is Assistant City Manager and former IT Director at the city. So lots of great topics that I can't wait for citizens to hear from you guys tonight. But let's just start with Laura. Laura, tell me what's going really well. Actually, let me back up. We just had Chief Mays and Chief Birkenfellow up on the stage, and the work that they do for us in the fire department, the police department is so important, keeping our city safe. I think most citizens don't know how much of our budget goes toward providing those public safety services.
So each year we spend almost half of the dollars in our general fund just on public safety resources. So that's our police department and our fire department. It also includes our animal management and welfare group, the ones that are out helping keep our community safe and animals like this safe in our community. So we do have a large amount of our budget every year that is going towards public safety efforts right here in our community.
And I appreciate the work that those folks do and that those budget dollars allow them to do. All right, Laura, this is your chance. If you were going to grade our financial report card in the city, what kind of grade would you give us?
So I would say we are exceeding our expectations right now. I would say that we have made a full recovery since COVID and have done so much more than even I dreamed we would at this point. So with that, I would say we are an A+ in our financial report card. We have seen strong sales right here in our community. The local economy has just really bounced back well from COVID, and there's so much growth going on in our community. There's so much building. There's so many people coming right into our community to spend their dollars right here. Those go back into being able to provide essential services like public safety, and all of the various departments that you see out here today. It goes to help fund those type services. Our hotels have been doing, have had a lot of recovery since COVID. They have continued to see growth year over year, not only in the occupancy, so that means lots of people are coming and staying here in our community, but also their daily rates are stronger than they were even before COVID came in, had an effect on our community. So we are continuing to bring in strong amount of dollars to help support our services here in the community. One thing we have seen, even since COVID, is we have seen a pullback on our end on some of our spending. And that's not necessarily something we have wanted to do, but we have, and I know it'll play into something you'll hear from Mitch Normand in a minute, but we have experienced a lot of staffing shortages across our organization. So that plays into the amount of spending that we do. But with those resources not being spent on positions that we had budgeted, we are getting a lot of one-time dollars put back into the community, into essential projects. So for our parks department, for our streets, for our public safety group, we've been able to knock out some of the projects that we didn't think we'd be able to address for many years to come. So as those revenues are staying strong, but we're spending a little bit less on our day in, day out operations, we're turning those tax dollars right back around and we're putting them into the community in lots of great essential projects that hopefully our citizens can see a change for years to come.
Excellent. We just finished approving a budget.
We did.
How much is the budget in, let's just talk about the general fund portion of the budget for the upcoming year.
So the general fund portion of the budget is a little over $200 million. So it's the biggest piece of our overall budget. It's where most of the essential services that citizens see, all of our public safety group is in there. Our parks department is funded out of it. Streets, traffic, libraries, civic center, all those various functions are coming through our general fund.
Okay. And if citizens have never really studied the city budget before, I bet that's a lot of us, it kind of operates like buckets.
It does.
Right?
Yes.
So you just mentioned the general fund bucket and
Yes.
the types of things that are funded out of that. But we also have an airport bucket.
We do.
We have utilities like a water and wastewater bucket. So understanding how the budget works at the city level is not exactly like our household budgets.
Yes,
Or
exactly.
even like a small private business. But it is important to understand that we can't take money out of the, airport budget to pay police officers with.
Exactly.
So those buckets are there and they get funded with the revenue sources they have, and you can only spend out of certain buckets for certain things.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
So what our citizens pay on their water bills, those go right back into improvements and extensions in our overall water system to ensure that every time the faucet's turned on, that clean water's coming out and that all of the wastewater is going away and being treated properly. But that, as you mentioned, that doesn't go to fund police officers or firefighters or parks department, none of those. So there is a lot of division in how we can spend the dollars in the overall city budget. So yes, the general fund is certainly the biggest bucket of money.
And right now in the general fund, we pay for our street maintenance because that's one of the challenges that we have coming. It's a little windy. One of the challenges that we have coming in the years ahead of us is how we're going to maintain our streets. We pay for streets out of the general fund.
We do.
A lot of cities have a particular bucket that they would call a street enterprise fund.
Yes.
Or maybe a capital projects enterprise fund, and they use that to do their street maintenance so that citizens know every year there's certain dollars there to repair streets. Right now, though, we're paying for our street repair out of the general fund, right?
That is correct. And so it is, if you want to put it this way, it's competing for the same dollars that we need also to fund our public safety and our libraries and our parks. And so, yes, it is in one big bucket of money along with many, many other essential city services at this time.
Okay, well, that's a challenge that we have coming up, and
It
so I
is.
want citizens to know that we may be having conversations about how we fund our street maintenance in the future.
Yes.
Laura, thank you for joining us tonight, and especially thank you for joining us with Scout. Mitch,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you for the job that you do for the city. For one thing, it's been pretty challenging over the last couple of years. Talk to us about some of the hard things in staffing and human resources.
Okay, definitely. So earlier when you were talking to Chief Birkenfeld and Chief Mays, among the many things they talked about, one of them was staffing specific to public safety. That is a challenge that we're experiencing across the board in all areas of the organization. So just working with each industry-specific area of the organization, trying to figure out very targeted and specific recruitment efforts to attract talent that wants to be a part of the City of Amarillo family, has been a challenge, but it's also provided opportunity for us to really evaluate how we're doing things, what we've historically done, and how we need to continue to evolve along with the workforce.
Well, it's a big challenge, and we have some departments that we're really struggling in, like solid waste, trash truck drivers.
Yes.
Public safety has struggled, but we appreciate the changes that you're making to try and recruit people to work for the city. Some of that involves looking for maybe types of people that we've struggled to represent. Diversity, equity, inclusion, that kind of thing. So
Yes.
talk about how the city is addressing doing that better.
Okay, so we actually have several initiatives internal to the organization where we're taking a look at ourselves and providing resources to the management team and supervisory team that's responsible for cultivating these teams of people and attracting really people to come to the organization. So it's just really giving resources and information so that we can start taking a more holistic look at how we're functioning, what we've historically done, how that could have been impacting other parties in our community, other members of our community inadvertently, and making changes. So whether that's revising job descriptions, updating position responsibilities, looking at what we've traditionally done compared to where we want to be, and how to change that administratively. How do we get there administratively? What's the path we have to lay out? So we're doing that across the board, and we're constantly doing that in every area of the organization.
We want the people who work on city staff to look like our city.
Absolutely.
And whether that's recruiting more women in the fire department,
Yes,
which
ma'am.
Congratulations, Chief Mays. We're doing a better job of that. We have a female cadet in the
Absolutely.
current class of cadets, or more people of color. We want the doors to be open for everyone in our city to know there are job opportunities in our city. So thank you for the work that you're doing there, and kudos to you. It's a challenging job market right now, and the city is not immune to that.
Yes, ma'am. But we're taking those challenges head on and not giving up, because gives us opportunity to be creative, and I think it's a great team of people that I get to work with at the City of Amarillo to come up with ideas. It's not me creating them, it's just me partnering with people to make their visions come to life. So,
Well, keep up the good work. I appreciate, the citizens appreciate what you're doing for
yes,
them.
ma'am. Thank you.
Rich, let's talk a little bit about some of the successes that you're seeing, especially with your department. 3 things I want to hit really quickly with you. The 311 service that the city's working on. What is 311?
So 311 is really about engagement and ownership. So it's a big part of how we as a city move from being a city that communicates to the public to being a city that engages with our residents as co-owners of a community that we all want to see thrive. 311 in simple terms, it's named because the simplest version of 311 is the ability to dial 311 from any phone in Amarillo and reach a person that can make sure that a resident gets the services that they need. But we're expanding upon that. 311, that number will be available at the end of the month. In October, we'll start rolling out software options so that a resident can report things like potholes or traffic lights that don't work, park benches that need repair from their phone. And not only report it, but be able to see our progress as we address that issue and give us an easy way to interact in a two-way fashion with our citizens. Beyond that, we're kind of expanding that whole concept into, it's challenging when you're a city with 46 different departments. As a resident, how do I as a resident know who to call? Well, we're going to take that away on the front end, and then from our perspective, we're putting the tools in place so that if you reach out to the city, whether that's by email or social media or 311, whatever it is, whoever you talk to will be able to see the history of that conversation and assist you immediately. So we're trying to remove all the barriers and make it more a conversation, and us working, as I said, as co-owners to just keep making Amarillo a better place to live.
So 311 is essentially a service, it's a customer service.
It's a customer service.
Between city staff, city services, and our customers, citizens.
Exactly.
So we're all familiar with 911, which is in an emergency on any phone, you can dial 911 and get help. This is sort of the same concept. If you see something in the city or you have a question about something in the city, you can just pick up your phone and dial 311 and report your information, request assistance, not for police and fire, but maybe you have a question about library hours or how to pay your water bill, or there's a street light out, and I don't know who to report that to. My dumpster's overflowing, all kinds of things.
Exactly. So if you're riding your bike down the street and you hit a pothole, call 311 to report the pothole and 911 to get the bicyclist help.
Exactly. Yeah. So 311 is a new service coming, and a lot of work has gone into that, but I think it's going to be a great service for citizens and staff to better interact. Okay, quickly, can you talk to us about broadband?
So, like everywhere in the country, when COVID hit, it highlighted the digital divide, or the divide between those that have access to high-speed broadband and those that don't. When it hit, we worked with Amarillo ISD, Region 16, Connected Nation, and what we found was we had almost half our city that didn't have access to high-speed broadband. So we've been working in partnership with those organizations and with vendors, and through the work that vendors like AW Broadband and Vexus and AT&T have done, and now with the contract we just signed with AT&T, we're closing that gap. So all the areas we identified that didn't have access to high-speed broadband over the next 36 months will be running, AT&T will be running fiber to every home, every apartment complex, and every business in those areas. So there won't be an area of Amarillo where you don't have access to adequate broadband. And the important note on that is it's nothing under 100 megs, so it meets the federal standards, and the base plan is $30 a month. So now that we've got the connectivity covered, what we're moving into is education and making sure that our citizens understand that that $30 a month can be covered through the American Connectivity Plan, which means if you qualify for assisted lunch or WIC or any of those other programs, you qualify to have that internet covered so that your students can compete at the same level as everyone else's students in town.
So wait, let me understand this. Places that couldn't get that access just because the infrastructure wasn't there.
Right.
Now we're going to have that access. Let's pause for a minute on that.
Okay.
Because the city made a deal with AT&T.
That's correct.
And we paid $2 million, and AT&T paid how much?
They're bringing in over 20.
$2 million for their $20 million. I think
correct.
that's a win. That was a big win over this last year. And so it'll take them 3 years to put that infrastructure in place.
Correct.
And once it's in place, a family, let's say, the Martinez family, who's living in a place that previously couldn't hook into high-speed internet, they now have access to it. And what you're saying is there's a federal program that they might qualify for that will pay for all of it.
Exactly.
So they have access, and it costs them nothing.
And it costs them nothing. And they actually sign up through the provider. It's very easy to do. So we're launching an education program through the library system. One, to make sure that all of our residents know about the programs they can sign up for, but also for those families that aren't familiar with the technology, to give digital literacy, the basic skills on from how to operate a computer to how to do email to really the digital security and social media and what that means in our country right now. And then beyond that, the library has just signed a contract with a company called Udemy that will be able to go beyond that and start giving workforce training. So you'll not only can get the basic digital literacy, but start to learn office skills like Excel and Word and things that will enable residents to look for better employment because they've acquired these skills through their connectivity.
I think this is something that will transform our city, and it may take a few years. Part of it is about fifth graders. Well, the truth is, our world is becoming more and more digital, and so the opportunities in our future, both in growing our economy, in education, they're more and more digital based. And so once we have this infrastructure that allows all of our citizens access to those digital-based opportunities, that means our city is going to grow and succeed more. Whether that's a fifth grader who's just trying to turn in their homework, which doesn't happen the way it was when I was in fifth grade. It happens online most of the time. Or it's someone who is trying to apply for a job. And they need an internet signal and connectivity in order to do that. Our city is now better equipping citizens to have those opportunities because of this opportunity from AT&T and the investment that they're making in our city.
It is, and I've heard you say before, one of our superpowers in Amarillo is we think regionally. So we didn't stop with the city of Amarillo. You don't think of Amarillo as a technology leader, but we really are. We're on the forefront of this effort. We're ahead of most communities. And because of that, we've gotten a lot of attention from vendors, and now we're working in partnership with Region 16 and Connected Nation, and we have private sector vendors that have partnered to do pilots in 2 rural communities across the Panhandle. So when the broadband funds become available from the state, we won't just have a plan, we'll actually already have pilots running in 2 communities within the Panhandle.
So again, the opportunity that we're creating here in Amarillo is going to ripple out to our sister cities all across the Panhandle, 26 counties, 60 different cities. I mean, they haven't signed up for it yet, but the vision is that this could cover 26 counties of connectivity so that this could be a Panhandle initiative, not just a city initiative. And already we have the governor's attention about this. And I want to tell you as citizens, do y'all know that Amarillo is getting statewide recognition and our reputation as a city of opportunity? People are watching what's happening here. People are watching what's happening with staff. People are watching the opportunities that our businesses are bringing to our city. Amarillo is a city of opportunity right now, and the governor's office has their eye on us, especially on this broadband project, because they're looking for someone to solve rural connectivity. And the City of Amarillo staff, and under Rich's leadership, we're developing the vision for doing that. And so I know they want to watch as we're launching this, see the success of it, and then be able to roll it out in other rural parts of the state. So hopefully that also equates to some dollars from the governor's office to help us accomplish that. But we'll look forward to that announcement hopefully at another time. So I want to thank the 3 of you for your leadership, for what you're doing to serve the citizens of our city, but you are a part of the historic growth and opportunity that we have here in the city right now. So thank you for what you're doing. And Laura, well done. I think Scout has finally taken a nap. So he may be down for the night, but thank y'all all for listening. And Tennessee, we're ready for the next segment. While Tennessee and her band are coming back out, I'll tell you guys that we're still looking forward to the movie at 8 o'clock, and the food trucks are still serving. So I hope that you've gotten something good to eat, and you're making your way around visiting all the different booths, playing the games, and collecting information, learning new things that you didn't know about our city. So yeah, you can even get a COVID shot. That's right, yeah. All right, thank you guys. Well, I hope you guys are having a great time. I've been watching the food from the food trucks. It looks delicious. I've been having some good conversations with some of our younger citizens about what does the mayor do? And I had one young citizen ask, could I possibly make sure that he could get an hour lunch, an hour recess, and an hour for PE every day? And if it wasn't too much to ask, could we also have a policy against homework? I don't know if I can get that accomplished in the next year, but it's great to be having those conversations. So on the stage with me right now are three of our staff leaders doing important work. I'm going to start with the zoo because Berkeley, we're having so many fun things happening at the zoo. Berkeley Branham is the director of our zoo. If you haven't been to the zoo recently, you should go and check it out. Lots of great things. Berkeley, what would you say is happening that's positive and good at the zoo?
So we actually have a lot of programs going on. Today we just got done with a couple of organizations that came out to the zoo and hosted their event out there. We also have our APE program going on, which is our environmental preschool program. We also have our, what we're really gearing up for right now is our biggest event of the year, which is the Boo at the Zoo. It's the largest event that we've had at the zoo since I could remember. And we also have in the works getting a couple of more ambassador animals coming in. We've kind of hit some hiccups with a couple of transportation, but it looks like we'll be getting them in the first part of October, which is they're going to be 2 black bears that were rescued in California.
Wow. So you have an ambassador from the zoo with you.
I do.
Who's with you today?
This is Merlin. He is an umbrella cockatoo, also known as a white cockatoo. He talks to us. He helps teach younger kids, different groups on how much work it takes to take care of a bird. A lot of times people think they're easy. They're probably one of the hardest animals to have as a pet, just because of their personalities, and they can easily outlive you.
Hello, Merlin.
Can you say hello? He says, no, I'm eating peanuts.
He's eating
right now.
peanuts. That's right. Yeah.
Say hello.
Hello, Merlin.
No, now we're
No.
going to be shy.
Berkeley, you were part, or at least the zoo was part of one of the most unusual and fun things that happened in the last year. Tell us about UAO. What is UAO?
Yeah, so I was sleeping, soundly asleep one night, and one of our game cameras caught a weird photo, and I didn't think about anything about it. I was like, that's a weird photo. And so as a joke, I sent it to my staff and everything, and we got it out to the public, and it took off. I think the count of how many people saw our UAO was 19.5 million.
19.5 million
Yes.
hits
Yes, ma'am.
on the UAO picture.
Yes, and then how many people like interacted with it, shared it, commented, things like that was about 2 million, which is outrageous.
That is completely in the definition of it went viral.
Yes,
And
very
not-
much so.
And we had worldwide media traction. It was on CNN. It was on MSNBC. CNN did a little cameo kind of piece on the UAO. And so if you combined all the exposure from that, I think I saw us at well over 60 million.
Yes.
If you combine all the media exposure that we got worldwide. But we had requests for interviews from Japan and
Yes.
all over the world.
Exactly, and one of the interviews I actually got to take part in was actually from Spain. So I got to learn a little bit of Spanish, figuring out how to decipher what they were asking, and I figured what they wanted, but it was really cool getting that experience.
So what do you think it was?
I honestly have no idea.
Man or animal?
We may never know.
We may never
know.
know.
I'm not sure. I would like to think it's a man just to put my mind at ease.
Yeah.
But
Who
yeah.
knows? Yeah, thank you, Merlin. Now Merlin wants to talk. Man or animal, Merlin? Stay tuned if you're a citizen and you're interested in UAO. I think there's going to be more UAO information, possibly a naming contest, and you may see the UAO wanted posters
Yes.
available online. I think UAO is here to stay. And so we need to give him a name and make him part of Amarillo's culture going forward.
For
Definitely
sure.
see if we can't capture some tourism dollars
Exactly.
for UAO. So Berkeley, thank you, and thank you to Merlin for joining us. Merlin
Thank you.
If Merlin needs to go take a rest, we certainly understand. Oh, he's showing off for us. Thank you, Merlin.
We may sit here and see how it goes.
Okay.
If you see me get up, it may be because we're getting a little hyperactive.
No
but-
worries. No worries. Okay, also on stage with me are 2 other very important staff members, Donnie Hooper, our Director of Public Works, and Floyd Hartman, Assistant City Manager. Donnie, I'm going to pick on you first.
All
Love
right.
that Sod Poodles hat, by the
Thank
way.
you. I do too. I love this hat.
Yeah, it's fantastic. One of the most challenging things we faced this year was trash pickup and hiring enough drivers, keeping enough drivers. Talk to us where we are. How many trash truck drivers do you need to do twice a week pickup for residential services?
We need about 42 of those to do that with a full staff. And right now we're sitting at 21, so we're right at half of what we need, half capacity. So it makes sense to go from 2 to 1 as far as pickup is concerned. But we're trying everything that we can. I really think that challenges like what we're facing now in solid waste have actually opened up areas that we never would have looked at before, as far as the way that we hire, working with Mitch and his team, the way that we use technology and the different things to try to seek different people to come into those positions. So we're doing a lot of things. We want to get back to twice a week pickup. That's the ultimate goal, and we're going to get there. I mean, I told our staff last week that this is just a piece of time that we have to get through, and it's a time for us to shine. It's a time for us to come up and step up to the plate and make things happen. So.
Well, I know before we shifted to once a week pickup, your staff was working a tremendous amount of overtime, working days on end without a break, and I want to say thank you for that. Citizens do appreciate the work that your department does, but we are going back to twice a week trash pickup.
Absolutely.
We're just trying to get there.
Yes.
Trying to get there. I also want to say thank you to the work that you've done with the innovation team working on illegal dumping. Can you talk just a little bit about that?
I can. The innovation team has been an incredible addition to the city of Amarillo. And I think not only what they're doing with us, with solid waste right now, and taking on one of the biggest problems we have, the illegal dumping, what we're going to see come out of that in the future with other areas in the city is going to be amazing. But what they're doing right now is digging in deep past anything that we've ever looked at before. I was talking to Carla and some of the team over there just a minute ago, and they said, you know what the one thing is that we think is missing out of all this is communication. It's so simple that that's the one piece, and here we are communicating about it, but that's the one piece that we need to continue to do better at, to communicate with citizens so they understand that it's not okay to put something next to a dumpster in an alley. It's okay to use our front yard collection program. But even beyond that, the things that they are doing in that group, I've sat in some of their meetings, and it's just like a simmering pot of brain cells just working on problems, and they're doing a fantastic job. So what a great addition to the problem that we have, or at least another resource that we can use in solid waste, and we are blessed to be the first group that gets to use that innovation team to solve a problem.
Well, thank you for your leadership style that opens the door to say, sure, we're open to hearing anybody's ideas for how solid waste, public works can do their jobs even better. I think 311 is going to be an open door to hear from you as citizens on how you can help Donnie and his team take care of our city better through fixing potholes or improving roads or working on illegal dumping in the city. So I'm looking forward to, like you said, Donnie, it's about communication. And if we can make that easier, we'll hear more of it, and citizens will see the city improve because of that. So
and thank you for the compliment, but I want to pass that on to the staff because I wish that people could really get in and see behind the scenes what we go through every day and how many hours we spend looking into the crystal ball of solid waste or the other issues that we have, and the hard work that goes on and all the ideas that come from those people that pass it up through the system, that we're constantly overturning every stone we can every day to be a better provider of services for the city of Amarillo. And it's neat for me to see them work so hard for that too, because I know that they care. They're really passionate about what they do. And so we appreciate everyone's patience in working with us through that. And I'll pass that compliment to them. They're the ones that deserve it.
thank you. Please do, on behalf from the citizens. The staff has a motto, neighbors serving neighbors, and truly they are doing that. But I know in particular, you guys in solid waste have worked so hard this year, and if you'll please tell them how much we appreciate them.
Absolutely.
I'm grateful for that.
Will do.
Thank you, Donnie. Floyd, thank you for what you do in the city. You lead teams who take care of things that citizens use every day but never think of, like wastewater treatment plant and lots of different infrastructure things that we use them, but we're not even aware that we're using them. So from your team's perspective, what's gone well over the past year?
So thank you, Mayor. First off, it's an honor for me to get to do what I do. I just love what I do for the city, for the citizens, for the elected officials. I'm just glad to be in this position and provide the service. But throughout the services that we have, you know, your daily drinking water, daily wastewater treatment, just dealing with those basic services is such a accomplishment. People knew how complex and what issues were related to providing that. But what went really well this year, you know, first off is our water system is very robust. We have a very strong, robust system. I'm in the line of a generation of employees and elected officials that have made this thing very solid. And we added the groundwater rights from the Pickens Ranch in this year, and that was just huge. It's a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-career thing, not only for me as a worker, but elected officials, but for the citizens of Amarillo to have a water supply. We had 200 years. Now we have more than 200 years, and we can grow and meet that growth need that's out there for the next 200 years.
Definitely important for us to provide for our water supply, and so the ability to purchase more water rights, which we did just a couple of months ago, to purchase some water rights in Roberts County that we think added somewhere between 20 and 40 years to our water supply, depending on how much rain we get. That's huge. And you know, in the national dialogue, Floyd, I hear people say, "Oh, I'm not sure that I trust government anymore." It gives me a lot of confidence to know, I know that our citizens trust our local government. They do that every time they drink our water. They do that every time they flush their toilet. They're trusting us. And you guys are delivering good service 24/7, whether it's 110 degrees outside or it's 0 degrees outside. Our water flows, it's safe to drink, our toilets flush, and we're grateful for that silent infrastructure and the teams that silently maintain it and care for it. As we've seen cities like Jackson, Mississippi struggle, they've not invested in their infrastructure over the years, and it does reach a point of crisis. I am so thankful that as a city, we have invested in our team that maintains our infrastructure. Now, we've had some successes this year. Going forward, we have some infrastructure challenges that we need to talk about investing in.
Oh, yes. In the short term, you have the mains in the alleys, the wastewater and the water mains in the alleys. You have drainage issues that need to be addressed, and we're working on those with the drainage utility. But in the big picture, you've got a wastewater treatment that's going to hit a capacity that requires another plant within the next decade. You have things like additional water supply in the 2030s. So we have long-term plans that have this. I was going to say, compared to the Western United States, where somebody else is in control, we're in control. We know what we have. We know what we planned out. We know which decade, which infrastructure needs to be built to maintain the water supply, maintain the sewer treatment. I have to throw in that comment about the reclaimed water. 3 billion gallons a year we reclaim from our wastewater plants, and Xcel Energy is a partner in that, and that is used to generate electricity. Nobody else in the state except El Paso has a reclaim program to that level, and theirs is a potable reuse. Ours is with the electric company. So 3 billion gallons a year. That, to put that in perspective, that's from January 1, the city supply, through the 1st of April. That is a huge thing and a benefit of a partner for the citizens of Amarillo working with Xcel.
Excellent leadership and excellent vision that put that program in place and lots of other programs that you're working on too. So I want to say thank you, Floyd, for your leadership, for the team that you lead. Thank you, Donnie. Thank you, Berkeley. You cover such different services to the citizens, but
I want to work for the zoo.
I know. I was out there the other day.
I was like, we'll put you out to work. Careful with that statement.
They'll ask you if you want to hold a lizard, and then when they get him out of the aquarium, he'll be more like a snake. I'll just tell you that. I wanted to change my mind pretty quickly, but I really appreciate the work that you guys do. I appreciate all the staff that's out here today, everyone that's been here manning a booth. They're taking those booths down now, and again, we really appreciate all of you citizens who've come out to support this event, to learn something about the city today. I hope you'll stay for the movie. If you brought your blankets, you might have brought it to sit on. You may end up wrapping up in it, given this nice September weather change that we have had here. But we're going to start that movie in just a few minutes, and we're really grateful. Thank you guys for giving us some time on a Saturday to come and educate us on the state of our city. Appreciate the work you do for us.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Time, Brian, thank you. I just want to say one more time a thank you to our sponsors, First United Bank, First Capital Bank, Amarillo National Bank, Interstate Bank, and First Bank Southwest. They make this event happen. Please, if you see them out in the community, tell them thank you for sponsoring this festival event. And I want to also say thank you to our Parks and Rec Department, to our communications team for all of the work that they've done for several months planning to put this together. It's been a great event. I'm so thankful that the weather cooperated. Hopefully tonight we're going to have thunderstorms roll in, right, and get that rain that we so desperately need. But thank you just to the citizens of Amarillo. Thank you for being Amarillo, for doing Amarillo, for being a part of the growth and the opportunity that's happening in Amarillo. This is truly a historic time in our city, and you're going to be able to say you were here in the early 20s, the early 2020s, when Amarillo took off and grew. So I really appreciate the time you've invested as families to be here tonight, learning about our city, and I hope that you'll tell your friends and neighbors that the State of the City website is up and has some content and additional content on it so that you can promote and encourage others to learn about the city and the state of our city as well. So thank you for being with us tonight. I hope you enjoy the movie, and I'm so grateful that we're all living in Amarillo together.